Welcome to this beginner English grammar masterclass. This masterclass will help you learn essential grammar that you need as a beginner. Now, even if you're an intermediate or advanced student, pay close attention because I hear mistakes with all of these areas from all my students. Of course, I'm Jennifer from JForrest English. Now let's get started. First, let's review how to use do, does, and did. Well, you need to understand that all three of these are just different forms of the verb to do. So the verb to do is the infinitive. Now, do and does are the present simple conjugations of the verb. And you simply choose one or the other based on the subject that you have. So if you're forming a sentence and your subject is I, you, we, or they, you need to choose do. If your subject is he, she, or it, so third person singular, you need to choose does. And that's it. That's the only difference between do or does in affirmative sentences in the present simple. But keep in mind that do as a verb is used in very specific sentences in the present simple. So for example, you do chores. You do chores. The verb do is what we need to complete the sentence. So I could say, I do chores every Sunday. This is a routine, is in the present simple. Because my subject is I, then I need do. Now, you can also do homework. For example, do is the verb that we use with homework. Now, I could say my sister, which of course is she as a subject, my sister does homework every night. Again, this is a routine, so I need the present simple. My subject is my sister, she, so I need does. Now let's talk about did. Did is the past simple form of the verb to do. And as a past simple verb, there's no difference with subjects. So you use did for all subjects. So that one is easier to remember. And of course, if it's the past simple, then we just need to make sure that our time reference is in the past. So I could say, we did our homework last night. She did her homework this morning, assuming this morning is already in the past because right now it's this afternoon or this evening. So this morning is in the past. She did her homework this morning. So notice, it doesn't matter if I use we or she. The subject doesn't matter because did is used for all subjects. You just need to make sure that your time reference is a past time reference, where do and does, your time reference is going to be a routine action. So you're going to hear time references like always, usually, every. Then you know it's a present simple. Amazing job. Now let's review was and were. Now, of course, both was and were are the past forms of the verb to be. And we use was and were in different grammatical structures in English. The most common time you'll see was or were is in the past simple. So let's just take a present statement. Let's use to be late. So here we have the verb to be late. Now, if I want to make a sentence in the past, for example, yesterday I, now I take my verb to be and I need to conjugate this in the past. There are two different choices, was or were. Your choice depends on the subject. So in order to know which one you need, was or were, you simply look at your subject. Yesterday, I, the subject is I. Yesterday, I was late. Yesterday, I was late. Yesterday, you were. Yesterday, you were late. Yesterday, she was late. Yesterday, he was late. It was late. So notice, he, she, it, those are our three options for the third person singular subject. The third person singular is conjugated with was. Yesterday, we were late, and yesterday, they were late. So you can see that the subjects I and third person singular use was. The subjects you, we, and they use were. That's what you need to remember. So pause the video now, take as much time as you need to memorize this. You simply need to memorize this. Now, the same rule applies when we use the verb to be in the past in different grammatical structures. So this example was using the past simple. Now, we also use the verb to be in the past with the past continuous. The past continuous is formed with subject, was or were. Your choice depends on your subject, right? And then your verb in ing form. I could say, yesterday I was running late. We were running late. He was running late. They were running late. So it's the same rules that we just covered. That doesn't change even though we're using a different grammatical structure. This time it's the past continuous. Now we also use the verb to be in the past, so was or were, depending on the subject, in the passive voice. So let's take an active sentence, and I could say, the present surprised me. The present surprised me. Now, I can take this active voice and I can turn it into the passive, and I would say, what? Well, you guys tell me. I'm going to give you a second and I want you to write it in the comments. What's the passive form of this active sentence? Write it in the comments. So, did you get it? I was surprised. I was surprised by the present. I was surprised by this present. But now, let's say the active form used a different pronoun, and it was the present surprised us. Okay, what would that be now? The present surprised us? What would that be in the passive form? So, you guys tell me. Write it down in the comments, the present surprised us. What would that be in the passive voice? That would be we. We is now the subject, so I need to think, do I need was or were? Well, remember, it depends on the subject. We use were. We were surprised by the present. To summarize, the choice between was or were depends on the subject. We use was with the subjects I or third person singular, he, she, it. We use were with subjects you, we, and they. And was and were are used in the past form of the verb to be. This is most commonly found in the past simple, past continuous, and passive voice. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Let's keep going and learn the difference between do you and are you. Both of these are question forms in the present simple, but they use different verbs and different structures. So let's begin with are you. Now, are, of course, is the verb to be. So are you is forming a question in the present simple using the verb to be. Our subject is you. So that's why we need are, because that's the conjugated verb to be with our subject you. Now we use the verb to be in the present simple for facts. Facts about the world or facts about ourselves as well. For example, I could ask you, because remember, this is a question, so you're going to ask someone about a fact. So I could ask you, are you American or British? Are you? Are you American or British? Now, another fact would be your job. So I could ask you, are you a software engineer? Now, I could also ask you a fact about your physical description, and I could ask you, for example, are you tall? Assuming we're chatting and I can't see you, so I don't know if you're tall or not, and I could ask, are you tall? Now let's take a look at the sentence structure, because using the verb to be in question form, we use something called inversion. So we take our subject and our verb, which would be the structure for a positive sentence, and we invert them, which means we switch them. So our sentence structure for questions using the verb to be in the present simple is verb plus subject plus object. So we know our verb is the verb to be, are, and we know our subject is you because we're only talking about are, so our subject and our verb need to conjugate. Are you? And then I just need my object, the question, the rest of the sentence. Are you tall? Now keep that sentence structure in mind while we take a look at do you. Do you is also a question form in the present simple. The difference is do is an auxiliary verb, which means do doesn't have any meaning in that word. It's only there grammatically. So to have meaning in the sentence, we need a main verb. Do is the auxiliary verb, and we still need a main verb. Now, in the present simple, I'm going to ask you about yourself or about your routine. So, for example, I could ask, do you live in London? So, of course, here, live is our main verb. But I need my auxiliary verb do. Do you live in London? I can't just do inversion with my subject and verb. If I did that, it would be live you in London? Live you in London? And we know that isn't grammatically correct for English sentence structure. So we need our auxiliary verb do. And do is conjugated with our subject you. Do you live in London? Another question. Do you have a dog? So here, have is our main verb, but I can't say, have you a dog? So I need, do you have a dog? I need my auxiliary verb, do. So compare our two sentence structures, because here our sentence structure is auxiliary verb, subject, main verb. Auxiliary verb is do because our subject is you, and do conjugates with the subject you. Do you, and now we need a main verb, but the form of this is the base verb, which means it's the infinitive without to. So to live, we get rid of to, and we have live. Do you live? And then the rest of the sentence, the object. So with are you, our sentence structure was verb, subject, object. Do you, our sentence structure is auxiliary verb, do, subject, main verb, which is the base verb, and then the object. They're both used in question form with the present simple. And this is something that you absolutely must know to understand basic English sentence structure. So now it's your turn to practice. I want you to leave 2 questions in the comments below, one with do you and one with are you. You're doing so great. Now let's talk about how to use didn't and wasn't. Both of these are the past simple forms, and both of them are past simple negative. Wasn't is the past simple negative form of the verb to be, but wasn't is only used with the subjects I, he, she, and it. Didn't is a past simple negative form, but it's an auxiliary verb, which means it doesn't have a base verb itself. It's used with any base verb. So our sentence structure would be subject, didn't, base verb to form a complete sentence that's past simple negative. To understand both of these, let's start with a positive sentence in the present. So we'll do a present simple positive sentence, and then we'll see how we can change that sentence into the past simple negative so you can see the transformation of how we use didn't and wasn't. So let's start with our positive present simple sentence for the verb to be. I'm there. I'm there. Pretty simple, right? To be there. I'm there. Or I could say, she's there. Now, I can make this sentence negative in the present simple simply by adding not. I'm not there. She isn't there. But remember, wasn't is the form of the verb to be, and it's negative, but it's used in the past simple. So I need to take my 2 sentences and have a past simple time reference. So let's use yesterday. Yesterday, I know I'm in the past simple, and I know that my sentence is going to be negative. So I can say, yesterday, she wasn't there. Yesterday, I wasn't there. So that's how the transformation took place from having a present simple positive to present simple negative to past simple negative. And remember, wasn't is only used for the subjects I, he, she, it. So let's do the same thing and see how we can get to didn't. So let's start with a present simple positive sentence. I go to bed at 10:30. So here my verb is go, to go. I go to bed at 10:30. Now, when we take regular verbs, excluding to be as a verb has different rules, okay? So we take regular verbs, like the verb go, we have our positive in the present simple. To form the negative in the present simple, I need an auxiliary verb. And that auxiliary verb that I'm going to use is don't. I don't go to bed at 10:30. This is the auxiliary verb for the subjects I, you, we, and they. I don't go to bed at 10:30. So now I have a negative sentence, but it's in the present simple. It talks about a routine, but I want to talk about a past simple. So I can use the keyword yesterday. So I know I'm in the past simple. Yesterday, I didn't go to bed at 10:30. So to form a negative sentence in the past simple for regular verbs, we need to follow our structure subject, didn't, and then our base verb. Our base verb is go. I didn't go to bed at 10:30 yesterday. So far, we have focused on individual verbs. Now let's take a look at the 5 most common verb tenses that you need to speak English fluently The first is the present simple. For the subjects I, you, we, and they, you add the base verb. Now for the subjects he, she, it, you add the base verb plus s or es. And this is one of the most common mistakes that my advanced students make, forgetting to add that s. So don't forget that s for he, she, it subjects. The present simple is used to describe routines, habits in your daily life. For example, I eat breakfast every day at 6 o'clock a.m. It's also used to describe general facts and truths. For example, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And notice I added those s's because the sun is it. He, she, it, you need those s's. It's also used for feelings, emotions, and states of beings. We are very excited for the concert tonight. Now here's one that most of my students don't use correctly, and the present simple is also used for timetable events, even if that event is in the future. For example, the train leaves at 5 a.m. tomorrow. It's very common to use an adverb of frequency with the present simple, which is one easy way that you can identify it. The most common adverbs of frequency are every day or always for 7 times a week, often, usually, or frequently for about 4 to 6 times a week, sometimes for 3 to 4 times a week, rarely or seldom for 1 to 2 times a week, and never for 0 times a week. So let's practice this just for fun. Share something silly that you never do or always do in the comments below. For example, I never brush my teeth while I'm driving. So share something silly in the comments just to have a little fun. Now let's move on to the past simple. To form the past simple, you have your subject, and then you have your base verb plus ed, or an irregular past simple verb, and there are many irregular verbs, so you simply need to memorize them. The past simple is used for an action that started and finished at a specific time in the past. For example, I went to the store yesterday. She took a shower at 8 a.m., but now it is 11 a.m., so 8 a.m. is in the past. They ordered pizza for dinner, and now it's 10 o'clock at night, so dinner is in the past. We sang all night, but I'm talking about maybe yesterday or the night before, so it's in the past. Let's review some past simple keywords so you can easily identify when you need to use this verb tense. Yesterday, last week, month, or year, in 2020, at 3:30 p.m., 4 hours ago, on Monday, on July 15th, when I graduated, or during the meeting. And remember, all of those keywords, the action started and finished in the past. Now let's talk about the future simple, another verb tense I see a lot of mistakes with. The structure is very easy. You have your subject, will, and base verb. It's the same for all subjects, which makes it easy. This verb tense is used to make predictions, but when it's based on your opinion, not facts. Argentina will win the World Cup. This is just my opinion. I don't know this as a fact. Someone else could say, I think France will win the World Cup. Notice here I added I think. It's very common to use an opinion word with the future simple. This verb tense is used for spontaneous actions or decisions, which means they were not planned in advance. For example, let's say you see a woman struggling with her grocery bags, and she has many grocery bags. You can say, I'll help you with those bags. You didn't plan this in advance. It was a spontaneous action. It's also used with promises, commitments, offers, or refusals. If you say, I'll send you the report at 5 p.m., you're making a promise or a commitment. It's like saying, I promise I'll send you the report at 5 p.m. So the other person will expect it if you use the future simple. Now let's talk about the present perfect, a verb tense that confuses a lot of students, but absolutely you must know how to use it. The structure is I, you, we, they, plus have, plus the past participle. And you simply need to memorize all the past participles. Now for the subjects he, she, it, you need to use has as your auxiliary verb and the past participle. Now, did you know that the present perfect is also used with the completed past action, but one that has a result or consequence in the present? For example, I have eaten. That is a completed past action. Now, it's common to use already, but it's not required. I have already eaten. So what's the result in the present? So now I'm not hungry. It's also used for life experience when it's an unfinished timeline. For example, she's been to Panama twice. Now, because she is alive, she can go to Panama again, so it's an unfinished time reference. Or you could say, I haven't seen that movie yet. Yet is a keyword for the present perfect, and we use it in negative sentences. And by saying yet, you're letting the person know that it's still possible for you to watch that movie in the future, so it's an unfinished time reference. Now, the present perfect is also used for an action that started in the past and continues until now, but only with 3 common verbs: live, work, and study. For example, they've lived in that house for 20 years. They still live there now, and it started in the past. It started 20 years ago. Very important point, you can't use a specific time reference with the present perfect. You must use the past simple. This is a very common mistake that I see my students make. So you can't say, I've tried sushi last week, because last week is a specific past time reference. So you would have to say, I tried sushi last week. Or you could get rid of last week and say, I've tried sushi. Let's move on to our last verb tense, the present continuous. The structure is I am plus verb in your ing form, your gerund verb. You, we, they, are plus verb in ing. Or he, she, it, is plus verb in ing. So don't forget, you have to conjugate the verb to be according to the subject. The present continuous is used for an action that is currently taking place. Right now, now. So I could say, my students are, because the subject is they, my students are watching my video right now, right? You're watching this video right now. You can also use the present continuous with the future if it's a planned action in the future. For example, he's attending the conference next month. It's in the future, but it's planned. He's attending the conference next month. Or she's performing at the World Cup in 2026. So even though it's way in the future, you can still use the present continuous if it's a planned event. An important note that you should know, because I know it might confuse students. Native speakers use the present continuous with always to stress the continuation of something negative. She is always coming to work late. So instead of saying she always comes to work late, because always is a keyword for the present simple, native speakers frequently put this in the present continuous. I don't recommend that you do that because it really depends on the context if it sounds correct or incorrect. But grammatically, it's always correct to use the present simple with always. So that's what I recommend that you do. I'm just sharing this so you don't get confused when you hear a native speaker say, she is always coming to work late. Now you know the 5 verb tenses that make up 96% of your speech. So are you ready for your quiz to make sure you really know how to use them? Here are the questions. Hit pause and take as much time as you need, and when you're ready to continue, hit play. Here are the answers. Hit pause, review the answers, and when you're ready to continue, hit play. Now that you have an overview of these verb tenses, let's look in more detail at the difference between the past simple and the present perfect. So we use the past simple with a completed past action, right? This action is complete. I already ate. That is a finished, completed action in the past. Now, let's talk about the present perfect. Here's what you need to keep in mind. The present perfect has many different uses depending on the context. In this lesson, we're specifically talking about comparing these 2 sentences. So in this specific context, the present perfect can be used for a past action with a present consequence, okay? There are other ways we use the present perfect. We're not going to discuss those. We're specifically talking about this one meaning, a past action with a present consequence. I've already eaten. So as you can see just from their definitions that they can both be used with a completed past action. The difference is the present perfect, present. There's a connection to the present, okay? So keep that as your memory aid. Present perfect, present, connection to the present. With the past simple, that connection to the present isn't there. One other thing you need to keep in mind is that a native English speaker is not a grammar expert. A native English speaker is going to use these 2 sentences in this specific context. They're going to use these 2 sentences interchangeably, and there's not going to be a difference in meaning. So when a native speaker says, I already ate, or I've already eaten, there's no difference at all. If you ask them, why did you say this one and not this one? They're not going to know because they don't study grammar, okay? And they're both acceptable, so just keep that in mind. A native speaker is going to use them interchangeably with no difference in meaning. But let's talk about that subtle difference in meaning when we say that the present perfect can be used with a past action that has a present consequence. What does that mean, a present consequence? So let's just think about that. I already ate. In the past simple, just remember, completed past action. It's done, it's over. I already ate. Now, when I say I've already eaten, there's some sort of connection to the present. So you can always think of it in your head as I've already eaten, so now, okay? I've already eaten, so now, because connection to the present, I've already eaten, so now I'm not hungry. So now I don't want a piece of cake. So now I don't want to go to that restaurant with you, okay? I've already eaten. But keep in mind that so now, we don't verbalize it. We don't say it out loud. It's just implied in the context, okay? So let's take a look at a few more examples. I could say, I talked to my boss. Just a completed past action. Or I could say, I've talked to my boss. So what's the connection to the present? Maybe I've talked to my boss, so now I'm going to leave. Maybe that's just the connection to the present. It could be anything. Again, we don't verbalize that. It's just implied. How about this one? I checked the mail. Just completed, past action. I checked the mail. Or I've checked the mail. In the present perfect. I've checked the mail. What's the connection to the present? I've checked the mail, so you don't have to. That could be the connection to the present. One more example. I booked the hotel. Completed, past action. Or I could say, I've booked the hotel. In the present perfect. I've booked the hotel, so now we're going on vacation. Maybe that's the connection to the present. So now I'm excited. Remember, we don't specifically say it, it's just implied. And also, in all of these examples, in this specific context, a native English speaker is going to use them interchangeably without a difference in meaning. Amazing job. Now let's look closer at the difference between the present simple and the present continuous. This is a mistake that I see students making quite a lot, and this is a mistake that I see my advanced students make. Now, you need to keep in mind that when you use a different verb tense, the meaning changes. So when I hear, I live in Paris, in the present simple, that is different from I'm living in Paris. The meaning is different, and I'm going to interpret them differently simply because of the verb tense you used. Now, our present simple, I live in Paris. Of course, to form the present simple, we just take our base verb, which is the infinitive without to. Remember, we need to conjugate this with our subject. So if it was she, it would be she lives in Paris. Okay, now we use the present simple for routines, like I'm sure you know. But we also use the present simple when we're talking about permanent situations, or you can think of them as simply facts. So when I hear someone say, I live in Paris, I see this as a permanent situation. I live in Paris. I live in Paris today, and I'm going to be living in Paris for the future as well. It's a permanent situation. Now, let's take a look at our next sentence. I'm living in Paris. So this is in the present continuous. Now, of course, we form the present continuous with the verb to be conjugated with our subject. So I'm living, she is, she's living, conjugated with our subject. And then we need our verb in ing form. She's living, I'm living. Now, we use the present continuous for situations taking place right now, right? But we also use the present continuous for temporary situations. So when I hear, I'm living in Paris, I think of this as a temporary situation. So I think you're living in Paris right now, but you don't expect to be living in Paris in the future. When in the future? Well, that isn't clear. But when I hear it, I think of it as a temporary situation. And this is a big difference if you live in Paris permanently or you live in Paris temporarily, right? Because you can imagine if you go to a job interview and then you say to the interviewer, I'm living in Paris, well, they might not think that you're going to be in the city for very long. So they might not consider you as an applicant because they want somebody who's going to be in the position for a long time. But you are only going to be in the city temporarily, right? So that could have a really big impact. Or same thing if you're on a date and you're talking to a potential romantic partner, but you say, I'm living in Paris. Well, they might think, well, it's not worthwhile to pursue this relationship because she's going to be moving in the future. So there's a big difference in meaning between these two sentences. So keep in mind, we use the present simple for a permanent situation and the present continuous for a temporary situation. So now it's your turn to practice. I want you to put in the comments one sentence in the present simple, that's a permanent situation, and one sentence in the present continuous, that's a temporary situation. You're doing such a great job. Think of everything you learned. Now let's review the difference between for and since. Now, there's a specific time that you need to choose either for or since. They're not interchangeable, and it will make your sentence grammatically incorrect if you're using the wrong one. So first, let's talk about for. We use for duration, okay? So you can think of it as a time that has a start and an end, a duration of time. For example, for 20 minutes, for 3 weeks, for 7 months, or how about for 12 years? Now, we use since with a specific time. So you can think of it as a precise moment in time. For example, 9 a.m., last Monday, June 3rd, 2014. So that's the first thing you need to know to use these correctly. For is a duration of time and since is a specific time. Now let's talk about the verb tenses that you need for each. So here's a little quiz for you. I'm going to show you some sentences using for in different verb tenses. And I want you to tell me which ones are correct and which ones are incorrect. And keep in mind, we're talking about the verb tense specifically. So that's what you need to look at. So I'll show you the example sentences now. So which ones are correct and which ones are incorrect? Let us know in the comments. Well, I hate to break it to you, but this was a trick question because they're all correct. And the point is that for can be used with many different verb tenses. It's quite diverse in that way. Now, let's do the same thing, but this time we'll do it with since. So again, the time references are all correct. I'm using them all with specific time, but let's take a look at the verb tenses. So I'll show you the sentences and I want you to let us know which ones are correct and incorrect. So how'd you do with this one? How about in the comments, let us know which ones are correct, okay? Put it in the comments. Now this one wasn't a trick question because since is a lot more limited. So here are our example sentences. The only correct ones were number 1 and number 3. You can use since with the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. The reason why is because since we use this for an action that started in the past but continues until now, and we actually don't know when that action is going to end. But it's important, it started in the past, continues till now, and is still in progress. That's when we can use since. All right, so now you know that for is used for a duration of time and it's very diverse. You can use it with many different verb tenses. You know that since we need a specific time and you can use it with the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. Now let me show you a sentence that I see almost every day, and it's wrong. And the sentence is, I've been learning English since 2 years. All right, this sentence is wrong. Now, I want you to take this sentence and make it a correct sentence. You're going to need to change either the for or since or the time reference, okay? So make your change and put the correct sentence in the comments below. Amazing job. Now let's talk about if you need you and me or you and I. Now, the absolute easiest way to know which one you need to use is always drop the you or drop the other person involved and just ask yourself, in this sentence, do I need me or I? Because when you answer that question, in every scenario, all you need to do is then add in the you and it will be correct. So let's take an example of this and I'll show you what I mean. For example, give that to, give that to I, give that to me. What do you guys think? I or me? Put it in the comments below. Give that to I, give that to me. It would be, of course, me. Give that to me. So now all you need to add is another person. You could say, give that to my brother and me, for example. Give that to my brother and me. So it doesn't matter who you add after. Let's try another example. Let's say you're walking down the street and you see this beautiful garden and you ask a stranger, you say, can you take a picture of, can you take a picture of I or of me? Can you take a picture of I? Can you take a picture of me? Which one do you think? Put it in the comments below. Can you take a picture of me? So now you just add, can you take a picture of my friend and me? My friend and me? My friends and me? It doesn't really matter what you put in. So let's try another example. Went to the party. Went to the party. So is this me went to the party or I went to the party? What do you think? Put it in the comments. Of course, it's I went to the party. So all we need to do is add in my friends and I. You and I went to the party. Doesn't matter what you put before I. So one more example. Ran a marathon. I ran a marathon. Me ran a marathon. What do you think? Put it in the comments. I ran a marathon. So now I know it's I, so I can just add you and I ran a marathon. My friends and I, my husband and I, my boss and I. Doesn't matter what you put in. My sister and I. It doesn't matter. So that's the easiest way for you to know if you need you and me or you and I. Just drop the you or drop the my friends, drop the whoever it is, my coworkers, and just ask yourself, do I need me or I in this sentence? Now, if you're not sure if you need me or I, you just have to remember this one thing. I is always the subject of a sentence. The subject of a sentence, okay? And what's me? Me is the object of a sentence. So just to quickly study this topic, let's go back to our example of, can you take a picture of me? Can you take a picture of my friends and me? Okay, so who's the subject in this sentence? Can you? So you are the subject in this sentence. You are doing the action. I am receiving the action. I'm the object in this sentence. Can you take a picture of me? So I'm not doing the action, right? So the subject is the one doing the action. The object is the one receiving the action. So that's just a quick overview, but that is how the easiest way to tell if you need you and me or you and I. Think of how much you've already improved your grammar and how many mistakes you've probably improved just by watching this masterclass. Now let's talk about irregular verbs because there are so many in English. To get you started, here are the 50 most common irregular verbs. The first verb is the most common verb in English, the verb to be. To be, was or were, been. Notice for the past simple, we have two choices, was or were. Your choice depends on the subject. I, he, she, it was. Yesterday, I was sick. Yesterday, he was sick. Were is for you, we, and they. We were sick yesterday, they were sick yesterday. The participle been, I haven't been sick in years. Become, became, become. Yesterday, I became sick. Have you become sick? Begin, began, begun. I began the project 2 weeks ago. Have you begun the project yet? Bring, brought, brought. She brought chocolates to the party. She had already brought the chocolates by the time I came. Buy, bought, bought. She bought new shoes last week. She had bought the shoes before she got the promotion. Choose, chose, chosen. Notice the pronunciation difference between our base verb, choose, and the past and the participle. Choose, chose. Ooh, oh. Choose, chose, chosen. She chose me for her team. Who had chosen that book? Come, came, come. She came home late. Has she come to the party yet? Do, did, done. I did the chores. Have you done the chores? Drink, drank, drunk. She drank the entire bottle. She's drunk 2 bottles so far. Drive, drove, driven. Who drove you here? I was driven by my friend. Eat, ate, eaten. I ate early yesterday. Have you eaten yet? Fall, fell, fallen. She fell really hard. She had fallen before it rained. Feel, felt, felt. I felt bad. I haven't felt fabric like that before. Find, found, found. I found $10 on the street. Have you ever found money before? Fly, flew, flown. They flew to Paris last week. I've flown 5 times this year. Forget, forgot, forgotten. Oh no, I forgot to buy milk. Have you ever forgotten someone's birthday? Get, got, or gotten. You can use either one in the past participle form, got or gotten. Gotten is more common in American English. Yesterday, I got a speeding ticket. Have you ever gotten a speeding ticket? Give, gave, given. I gave her a box of chocolates. Have you ever given someone chocolates? Go, went, gone. Such a common verb, but I hear a lot of mistakes with the verb go. Go, went, gone. Yesterday, we went to the store. They've been gone for 20 minutes. Have, had, She had a great time yesterday. We've had a great time since we got here. Hear, heard, heard. Yesterday, I heard the best song. Have you ever heard that song? Keep, kept, kept. The politician kept his promise. Have you kept your photos from your trip? Know, knew, known. I knew she did it. I've known him for 10 years. Leave, left, left. She left at 5 o'clock. She had already left by the time I came. Lend, lent, lent. I lent him some money. Have you ever lent anyone money? Let, let. That one's easy. She let me keep the money. I've let 5 people into the room so far. Lose, lost, lost. I lost their number. Have you ever lost your wallet? Make, made, made. They made a terrible mistake. Have you ever made a promise that you didn't keep? Meet, met, met. We met last week. Have you met Fred yet? Pay, paid, paid. I already paid the bill. She had paid the bill by the time I got back from the bathroom. Put, put, put. That one's easy. I put my new shoes in the closet. Have you put away your groceries yet? Read, read, read. Notice the spelling is exactly the same, but the pronunciation changes. Read, read, read. Yesterday, I read my book for 20 minutes. Have you read his autobiography yet? Run, ran, run. He ran a marathon last week. We've run 3 tests so far. Say, said, said. Who said that? She had said that before our conversation. See, saw, seen. I saw a movie last week. Have you seen that movie yet? Sell, sold, sold. We sold our car. Have you sold your house yet? Send, sent, sent. We sent the package last week. Have you sent the package yet? Sing, sang, sung. She sang in the shower yesterday. Have you ever sung in the shower? Sit, sat, sat. She sat down and broke the chair. Have you ever sat beside someone famous? Sleep, slept, slept. I slept terrible last night. Have you ever slept outside? Speak, spoke, spoken. Who spoke at the wedding? I haven't spoken to her in years. Stand, stood, stood. He stood me up. Have you ever been stood up? When someone stands you up, it means you made plans with someone, usually romantically, like a date, but the other person didn't show up. They didn't come to the restaurant at 7 o'clock like they said they would. So, have you ever been stood up? Or have you ever stood someone up? Hopefully not. Swim, swam, swum. I swam in the ocean last week. I haven't swum in the ocean for 5 years. Take, took, taken. She took our photo. Have you taken anyone's photo before? Teach, taught, taught. She taught them how to use irregular verbs. Have you ever taught someone how to use irregular verbs? Tell, told, told. She told me the truth. Have you ever told a lie? Think, thought, thought. I thought it was a good idea. Have you thought about moving? Understand, understood, understood. I understood her explanation. Have you understood all these irregular verbs? Wear, wore, worn. She wore her green dress to the party. She hasn't worn her blue dress yet. Write, wrote, written. I wrote the answer in my notebook. Have you written the essay yet? Congratulations on completing this masterclass. Do you want me to make more masterclasses? If you do, put masterclass in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. Now that you've improved your grammar, let's expand your vocabulary with this lesson. Watch it right now.